Hi guys, how are you today? So today we're going to be talking about why changing your diet won't stop emotional eating. So I'm Kelsie Michaud and I help people to gain control of emotional eating so they can just feel healthy and confident as they make peace with food and their body. Sorry, my voice is a little off today. Allergies are really getting me this week. So just as a reminder, I want to let everyone know that I'm offering complimentary consultations for anyone who wants to dive really deep into their own health and weight goals. And it only takes about 20 or 30 minutes on the phone. And then I can show you where you can go from where you are now to where you'd like to go. So I have about 4 spots left this week. So if anyone wants to jump into one of those spots, you can PM me, comment, whatever works best for you. But let's dive right into our topic today. So if you struggle, your struggle with emotional eating may go a little something like this. If I could find the right way to eat, I won't have cravings. If I could just gain some willpower, I would be stronger and I could resist my urges. Or if I could detox from, the addictive sugary type foods, I would be free. Or if I could, just stick with something long enough, then, that's all it would take. Hi, Banna. How are you today? Thanks for coming on. And, if I could just get to the bottom of why I struggle with emotional eating and not stay on my diet, I wouldn't have a food problem. Hi, Allie. How are you? So, what's wrong with this way of thinking? Well, these all seem like really reasonable thoughts, especially if you're starting from a diet mentality where the focus is always on the food. But when we're working on healing emotional eating from the viewpoint of conscious eating, it's a whole other world out there. So the good thing is that it's a truly helpful, it's truly helpful for healing, definitely for healing your relationship with food, but for food and your body. So let's talk about the struggle with emotional eating. So the struggle with emotional eating needs to actually shift away from the food and be put more on developing a deeper awareness of your emotions. But most importantly, what to do with those emotions, and how do you feel emotionally when you're eating, basically. So I'm sure that you have a pretty good idea about what healthy eating is. Since you're watching me online, that means you have access to lots of great nutritional information from a variety of sources, which, I could give you that information too. But really, it's not about getting the nutrition right so that, you'll have more control. That's just an illusion. The illusion is that you can control the struggle with emotional eating through food. And there are even nutritional perspectives that believe that if the food is the problem, then change the food. And, and if it was that easy, you would have accomplished that already, right? So, hi, Charlie. Hi, Michaela. Thanks for coming on. So the most difficult part of this is to come to terms with is that, it isn't really the food that's the problem. The problem is the feelings that you're unable to even identify sometimes, or even make sense of, and then find the resolution that then adds to your struggle with your emotional eating. So your struggle with emotional eating is a struggle with identifying or even naming your specific feelings. So, those deep down ones, more than just, I'm angry or I'm sad, the bigger points like I'm feeling frustrated and I'm disappointed, and I'm frustrated that my thoughts and feelings aren't being acknowledged and taken into account when a decision is made, something like that, something that's much deeper. So that awareness requires a different response than just, simply I'm angry. So it involves more of becoming more thoughtful and to assess what you really need, as well as to take into consideration what's best for you. And to do all of this, you probably won't be thinking about food too much. Hi, Nan. How are you? So if your attention does shift to food, it could be for comfort, it could be just a distraction, or just simply out of habit because you're just so used to turning to food all the time. So that's okay. If you've gotten to that point that you know what's going on and what the cycle is, then you have the ability to choose to eat or not to eat. So at this point, you can assess your hunger or your fullness, which, my clients can attest to because that's something that I have them do. And you can assess, if you want to eat some comfort food or if you want more than just, if you want to just eat some comfort food or if you want to eat more than some, and consider how you might feel, and then choose if it's an activity you want to do instead that could make you feel better, and turn away from that food and start turning to something else that's just making you feel better instead, more like an activity. So the good news to all of this is that these are all decisions that you are consciously making, but one feeling at a time. So when you learn to develop the skills to calm your initial reactions and then connect your energy with your desire to end emotional eating, then you get to know your own internal reactions better. And then you can, be on your way to ending that struggle with the emotional eating. So it's the emotional awareness that leads to being able to end the struggle with emotional eating. So, I get that this might sound, a little overwhelming, all of this, it's also being, it's just being able to name those feelings that get in the way of nourishing yourself with food, as well as, the non-food ways of nourishing yourself, like rest and sleep and friendship and physical activities and dancing and reading and so on, all the things that you may really like and enjoy, also that you can just develop a new way of being. So like I said, I know this can seem kind of overwhelming at this point to kind of put it all together, but let's break it down into more manageable parts. Hi, Kelly. So, how do you create the emotional space between yourself and the food to figure out what you actually need? Well, like any skill, any skill worth learning, it's going to take time. It's a learning process, and it's a learning process to help you on your path out of emotional eating and toward becoming a conscious eater. So instead of making you have to, click on a download to download something, I can't talk. Instead of making you have to click to download something, I'm just going to tell you the 3 ways to shift your relationship with yourself and stop that struggle with emotional eating. So, number 1, you just want to slow down and breathe and allow yourself to reconnect with the peace that is inside you. A lot of times, we live in a busy world, and even though a lot of us are stuck home now, it's still a crazy world out there. So it's important to really just calm your body and slow down and bring yourself back to the peace and reconnect with yourself. There's a part of you, no matter how small or how long it's been since you've experienced it, that has felt even just a small amount of peace, I'm sure. I mean, how often do we take the time to slow down? Maybe at the end of the day, after the kids have gone to bed, then it's your turn to have some me time. Well, that needs to happen more often, I think, throughout the day even, or first thing in the morning, as far as, finding some me time and calming your body and bringing yourself some peace. So, as you move forward with slowing down or trying to slow down, you can calm, you can create space, you can quiet yourself, and it's okay to go slow and try out different aspects of finding peace and finding what peace means for you. So creating like a restful place inside yourself, it's definitely a process, and no one is perfect. No one's perfect at it, and it's sometimes easier said than done, and I know that, and it can be easier at other times, than sometimes than to just tap into peace and have that just be okay. So it's a learning process because, it kind of takes like that mind-body connection, and that can definitely be something that has to be learned over time. So like with anything, with practice, it gets easier. So the goal is to give your mind and your heart a little space so you can identify the feelings that you are actually experiencing. So that's the whole thing, is that, a lot of times, we get upset, or we're frustrated, or we're angry or anxious, and we just immediately turn to food. And we don't take that moment to just stop and slow down in the moment and give our self a chance to think. So that's what's really important, is just slowing down, connecting your mind, body, your heart, and then those feelings will just, they'll come out, and you'll say, okay, this is what I'm feeling now, and being able to identify with it. And identifying those feelings is the first step. So two, you also want to identify more frequently the feeling so which feeling is coming up the most. So which feeling is leading you to feel like you need to emotionally eat most of the time. So with identifying the feeling that's most readily, like, always there, when you're struggling with emotional eating, like when you begin the process of being able to identify your feelings, you'll start out with, like, the general feelings, like, mad, sad, angry, etc. But that's a good starting point. And once you're able to pinpoint that feeling, then you can spend a little more time breaking it down into smaller parts. Maybe thinking about the feeling from different viewpoints, even, as a way of, like, try to, like, fine-tuning how you're really feeling, trying to really pinpoint it. Hi, Suzanne. Hi, Esther. Hi, Catherine. So, a lot of the tools, that my coaching clients use, like, I'll have them use a feelings vocabulary list. So it's used in a way to increase your emotional vocabulary, so that you can try on some of these, trying on your feelings, so to speak. So you want to look up in the dictionary, look up the definition of a feeling that you might be feeling, and see how it fits for you. Because sometimes, like, this is something that I think sounds like it's easier said than done. But if you actually stop and take a moment when you're feeling whatever feeling you're feeling, whether it's frustration or anxiety or anger, if you stop for a moment and really think about that, and then look it up in the dictionary and read that definition, you might find that connection coming to yourself and it resonating with you, and it's slowing you down. That right there has slowed you down, and you didn't just run to the cupboard, because you're stopping, you're identifying, and you're making that connection. So the more specific you're feeling, the closer you can get to taking care of you, and then the feeling in a way, like, it'll feel more satisfying, because you're finally, like, identifying and accepting how you're feeling. And this part of the process, it can bring a lot of relief, and just it can be kind of fun, because it's something different, and it's very freeing to know exactly how you feel, and it gives you a pathway toward feeling even better. So it can also help you improve your relationship with others, for one, but most importantly, with yourself. So that was number 2. So number 3 now, we're moving on to, now that you've identified the feeling, now you can develop your plan. So this is the life-changing part of the whole process. So by changing the way that you take care of yourself, with your emotional eating, like identifying and managing your emotions, then you have the choices about how to respond to your actual feelings and emotions. And that's the true freedom right there. So remember, you are in control, not the random feelings that give you power that give your power over to the food. So the struggle for food freedom will not be easy, we know this, but it's the win of the relationship with yourself that will be grounded in peace, and that you have the ability to make these great choices for yourself. So I have a plan for identifying your feelings, and it could be something like this. Okay, 1, acknowledge the discomfort you feel. 2, take a deep breath and give yourself some space. It's, if it's not an emergency, you don't need to treat it like one. You have time. You have plenty of time. 3, identify your hunger. Are you really hungry, or are you tired, or are you just thirsty? If it's not physical, then, think about that. And 4, identify the event that you're feeling uncomfortable about. Is it work? Is it home? Or is it just your relationship with yourself? What is the big, overall feeling? And this feeling could be the overall summary of just how you're feeling, but it's better to break it down into smaller pieces. 6, now, what fits better for your exact, precise feeling? And 7, thinking about self-care and what will help you move forward in a positive relationship that's going to be something that you could take action on, something that's just going to make you feel good, that you enjoy, taking a nice long hot bubble bath, lighting some candles, listening to music, sitting down and reading a good book, going for a walk, doing some yoga, giving yourself a home facial or even a pedicure, anything that makes you feel good. Banna, listening to you makes me genuinely excited about how I'm feeling. Oh, thank you, Banna. That is so sweet. You are sweet. Thank you for your kind words. And I hope this helps. And I hope anyone who's listening, I hope it's helping. So, and then I also have number 8. So you stop and think, do I need a mindset shift? Do I need to really stop and just connect with myself? Mindfulness, again, it takes practice. It's like that mind-body connection, and it's not easy, and it sounds easier said than done, and I'll tell you, I know it's not, but when you really stop and slow down and you allow yourself, because a lot of times we're fighting against it. So if you allow yourself to actually feel your feelings and think about what you're feeling and make that mind-body connection, that makes a world of difference for yourself. That helps you bring inner peace to yourself. And number 9, is a conversation with someone needed? Do you have someone that, maybe in the moment you're just like, all right, I need to talk to somebody to just kind of help me off the ledge here. And, do you have maybe a certain friend you can reach out to at that time? If you do it. Do you have a family member at that time? Same thing. If there's somebody that that's willing to talk to you at any moment when you need to talk yourself off that ledge, by all means, make sure you call them. And with technology nowadays, just because we can't meet in person, so what? Our technology is amazing. We can see each other through FaceTime, through Zoom meetings, through all this different technology, or even just old-fashioned picking up the phone and calling somebody nowadays and hearing somebody's voice is so nice. So, and also, I'm here. Reach out, comment, PM me if you want to talk personally, whichever, fits best for you. Just whatever it is, make sure that you're taking action so that you're not going over that edge and binging and going emotionally crazy, because there's always resources out there for us. And we're all here for each other, I believe. And number 10, do you need to use a different set of skills when that feeling comes around again? So, really think about it. Is there something else I need to work on? Is it, I don't know, it could be anything really, but it's a matter of just stopping in that moment. And I know it's hard, and it might sound easy, but it's really hard to really stop yourself, because a lot of times we just act. We act on our emotions and we don't stop. So by stopping and even tapping, I've done a couple videos on tapping, and even stopping in the moment and doing some tapping can help bring us down to a more peaceful level and just stop us from whatever crazy emotion we were feeling at that time and bring us to a better place of peace. So if that's anything that, you have a question about, please, feel free to reach out about that too. But if you scroll through my page, you'll see I did some videos on tapping as well. And that can really, really help you for emotional eating big time. That helps for so many things besides emotional eating. Helps for physical pain too. But emotional eating is something that it can help greatly with. And hi, Eric. How are you? Erica, this is my biggest challenge. Yes. I completely get it. And hi, Courtney. I feel like a lot of people, especially now, who are stress eaters or are stress eating, didn't realize they were stress eaters, and now it's all coming to fruition. And like, oh my gosh, I'm just constantly eating, or I have nothing else to do, and my mind just wants to constantly go to the food. So it's a matter of just stopping in that moment, really, and just being aware. And it's hard to stop, but the more you practice it, the more it'll happen. And the more you'll be able to just stop in that moment and assess yourself. Okay, what am I feeling right now? And why am I feeling this? And let me take a moment and let me look it up. Am I resonating with this? And all of a sudden, you're not running to the cupboard anymore or the fridge. So you're bringing that sense of peace to your body and making that connection with yourself. So the process for identifying your feelings, it's definitely done over time. So it's not something that you have to figure out all at once. You can definitely come back to it, when something maybe pops up into your head later. You might not be able to identify that feeling at that moment. And maybe a little later on, it might hit you like, oh, this is why I was feeling that way. Okay, now that you identify it, because having the knowledge and knowing is half the battle. So that right there will help. So as you work on, your emotional life and your relationship with yourself, you'll get, faster and more efficient at being able to name how you feel. So when you take that first step, then you're that much closer to being there and being free from the struggle with emotional eating. And, like I said, I hope this was helpful for anyone that's listening, and just, let me know what resonated the most with you in the comments. And as a reminder, I'm available for complimentary consultations. That's where we jump on the phone for about 20 or 30 minutes, so we can dive really deep into your own health and weight goals. And I can show you how I can take you from where you are now to where you'd like to go. And remember, to share if you know someone who you think would also find this helpful, please share with them, or just, share it out and and I hope everyone was able to take something away from this today, even just a little bit, and got you thinking and maybe practicing a little mindfulness today and slowing down. So if there's no questions right now, I'm going to hop off, but I hope everyone has a very beautiful day, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye, guys.